Hi everyone. Crazy tough times at the moment. Self-isolation, disruption to everything we're doing. You know it's got bad in England when they've had to shut the pubs. It's even happened to my local, the Oaks, and the Globe, and the Sandpiper, and the Nelson, and the Ship, and the Rising Sun, and the Bear. We found out about this fantastic new idea, On-nomi, online drinking. It came from Japan. It's all about getting together with your friends virtually when you can't do it for real in real life. We thought, you know what, we can do that with our precision hydration ambassadors, with some of the people we work with around the world, and find out how they're coping in this unprecedented crisis. Now the first one of these is a great interview I did with Eilish McColgan. Unfortunately, I spoilt it by rambling on at the start because I wasn't really that focused, but get past that, there's some gold dust in there, so I'll leave you to it. Hello everybody, this is a new thing for Precision Hydration. My name's Andy Blow, I'm the CEO, the founder of Precision Hydration. It's the 16th, in fact no, it isn't, it's the 18th of March 2020. Crazy times in the world at the moment with the coronavirus and everything that's doing to all of our routines, our businesses, our travel, our lifestyle and our sport. And what we've decided to do at Precision Hydration to try and give some context to what's happening is have a chat with some of our top sports ambassadors and find out how this emerging situation is affecting their lives. Now, what we've decided to do, we've borrowed from something that we saw online, a really cool new idea from Japan called On-nomi. I think that's how you say it. It's on and then N-O-M-I. And what it is, it's having a social drink together virtually online because we can't all go and mingle in the pubs and bars that we normally would at the moment. So our first On-nomi guest is Eilish McColgan, elite track runner, double Olympian, who is currently talking to me. I'm in the UK at 8 p.m. in the evening, and I think it's Eilish, is it 1 p.m. where you are in Flagstaff, Arizona?
Yeah, 1:30, yeah, just past.
Excellent. And so first off, how's it going out there in the USA?
Yeah, it's been good. It's a little bit strange. It's obviously not the training camp that we had planned. We came out a little bit earlier just because the weather in the UK had been so bad. And yeah, unfortunately, our dog had passed away as well. So we sort of made the decision to come out earlier and just get away from the house for a little bit. And yeah, we never knew that this it was going to end up the way it has done. I mean, the British team were due to come out literally next week, and that's all been cancelled. Obviously, there's a big travel ban now from the UK to the US. So yeah, it's been a little bit of a strange one. We're sort of almost stuck out here for the time being with not really sure what's going on. Every morning we wake up and it's changed so drastically overnight. And obviously we're 7 hours behind, so it's like we're constantly trying to catch up on the news here in America, the news in the UK. So yeah, it's been a little bit chaotic.
Yeah, sounds it. And so who are you traveling with and who are you training with at the moment?
So at the moment it's just me and my boyfriend Michael. So we'd planned, we do a lot of stuff on our own anyway, but obviously we just assumed Flagstaff is like a hub for runners. It's a really big athletics community, and there's athletes from all over the world come from literally everywhere. And yet there was a few Polish athletes that were here just last week, but everyone's gone home now. So there really is just, there's myself and Michael, and there's a couple of dotted runners across the world in certain places, but everyone's in the same situation of wondering, do we go home? Do we hold on here? Everything is a little bit up in the air, but it has been quite calm here, to be honest. It hasn't, maybe because we are quite isolated anyway. As runners, do you know what I mean? We go on the trails and you might not see another runner for a whole 10 miles. So it's not like an intense place to be at the moment. But things are changing, yeah, very, very rapidly. And we just found out last night all the gyms, restaurants, bars, cinemas, all of that, it has shut. So it is progressing. But we're hoping that as long as we can continue running outside and social distancing, as it's called, we can go out on a trail and continue to train, then for the time being, we'd like to try and stay put and continue as much as a normal routine as you can. But obviously, it's not ideal.
Yeah, definitely. And one big question that's obviously hanging over the head of lots of athletes, at every level, the amateur athletes that we work with and the professionals like yourself, is most people have got goals planned in the next 2, 3, 4 months. They're the big ones that they're focusing on. You're focusing on Olympic, qualification and the Olympic Games in Tokyo in 4 months' time. But there's these massive question marks. All the short-term events are gone. They've been cancelled or postponed. Even what I was reading today, the Olympics are, making a lot of noises like they want it to go ahead, clearly, but they must be thinking, is it really going ahead? I heard today that the Euro Championship football has been postponed by a full 12 months. That was going to be in June 2020. That's going to be in July 2021. So how does that play on your mind as someone whose, whole sort of professional life is built around that this year?
Yeah, it is. It's a really difficult one to, I suppose, get your mind around, because all your training, all the training camps that you scheduled, everything's got that sort of end goal of peaking at the Olympic Games. And not only that, obviously, in order to be in your best shape for that time of the year, you need to have done so many races. I know that I need to do X amount of races over a set different distances throughout the year in order to get my speed, to get my endurance, to get everything right for when that championship comes. And obviously my whole schedule now is just completely clear. So it does feel a little bit, there's almost a sense of, what are we training for? I'm out here in Flagstaff. I've obviously spent a lot of time away from home, a lot of money to spend to come out here, but with no real end goal. Obviously, I'm fortunate that I love running, so it's not that my love for the sport or anything changes. I'm still going to go out and run because I like to do that every day. But certainly, the end goal isn't quite there at the moment, and that's, I suppose, maybe the hardest part. Maybe to keep a very keep a structure of training, if that makes sense. To know that I've got to do my track session today because in so many months' time I've got a race coming up. That all changes. But for the time being, I'm almost keeping an open mindset of, if the Olympic goes ahead, then I'll make sure I'm in the best possible shape I can be for that opportunity. But it's looking highly unlikely. I think the fact that there's so many nations that are on shutdown, certainly across Italy, Spain, France, it's difficult times right now, and certainly sport is the least of anyone's worries at the moment. So I think it's looking likely that it will be postponed, probably to next year. And all I can do for the time being is just continue to do something that I enjoy, which is to go out and run, continue to keep fit, try and stay healthy, and just maintain things as much as I can. And that when those races do appear and when race opportunities come along, that I'll be ready to take those on and do the best that I can. But I think there's a lot more obviously going on in the world right now than the Olympics, but hopefully we'll find out soon. I think that's another big thing as well, is being able to know in advance rather than it being a last minute decision. I think the athletes really need to be advised and informed months before this is actually going to go ahead, so that we can adjust.
It's an interesting point, because I was reading today that 53% of all Olympic athletes that should be going to Tokyo have qualified already, but that leaves 47% who have not. And obviously there are a lot of athletes with certain sports where they're just not going to have access to any sort of training facility. It's going to be very hard, say for instance, for swimmers to keep swimming during this time, or people that need to train in any sort of environment where there's mass gatherings or just a lot of people in and out, because all these facilities are being shut. So I think you could well be right, because if they can't qualify everyone properly for it and people can't train for it, then it's going to change the dynamic of the games for so many sports so much that maybe it can't go ahead this year.
Yeah, especially when some of the nations in Europe, as I know I already mentioned it, but Italy, for example, they're on complete lockdown where they can't go out their house for 2 weeks. And as you said, if you're a swimmer, I mean, it's all great and well if you're a swimmer that has a swimming pool in your house, but if you don't, then of course you're restricted by that. And I mean, we're very fortunate at the moment that I can go outside and run. So the big bulk of my training, nothing really changes, if I'm totally honest. I mean, I train on my own anyway, so it's not like I have to suspend group training or anything like that. I spend a lot of time just me and Michael on our own, so it's our general life really hasn't changed too much. But I appreciate, I mean, not there's so many athletes that are in a completely different situation to that. And as you said as well, the people that haven't got qualifying times, where are they going to do a qualifying time when there's no competition around? It does make it very biased towards athletes. Someone like myself that's already got my times, I do feel a little less, I suppose, anxious about it, because I know that I've got that part done. But for us, the big one is our national champs, our Olympic trials, and knowing will that go ahead or not. But yeah, again, nobody really knows at this point in time. But hopefully, we do have enough, a good couple of months warning before we find out exactly what is actually going to happen with the Olympics and the competitions around that. Whether there'll be competitions in the UK or whether Europe will open up again, whether even America might start putting on some races. It's really up in the air at the moment.
Yeah, I was actually chatting, and I heard what I thought was some really good advice from the top triathlon coach in the last couple of days, a guy called Matt Dixon, who's a British guy who's based out in San Francisco, runs Purple Patch Fitness. And Matt was saying to a lot of his athletes that the opportunity that's arisen through this scenario of what's happened with all competition for the next sort of 3-4 months effectively being wiped off the slate is that athletes are typically, we're all pretty bad at focusing anything beyond that kind of horizon, that 3-4 month timeline. You know, you're always kind of in a cycle where you're building up to some upcoming races and whatnot. And then all of a sudden having that taken away, yes, that can temporarily knock your motivation. But what it can also really do is give you a fantastic platform to go back to basics, to really have a long, slow build up, work on weaknesses, work on stuff that you wouldn't normally have time to work on, because you've now got this, you've got an enforced kind of long-term view on things. And I think one of his viewpoints was that athletes that managed to pivot their mindset pretty quickly into looking at like that, the long term, in a more relaxed and determined way, rather than losing too much heart, would be the ones that go on and flourish when the competitions restart. So what do you think about that?
Yeah, no, I think for me, this year particularly, we made a real emphasis on building up my training again. In the past, because of injuries, I've always avoided double running, so I've done a lot of cross training to supplement my running. But it's getting to the point in my career, and certainly even my age as well, whereas I don't have a huge amount of years left in the sport. So I thought, right, I want to try and how can I push on? Do you mean how can I get to that next level? And also, if I realistically want to move up towards the 10K, the half marathon, even the marathon potentially in a couple of years' time, I need to start building up my running. I can't be doing 45 miles a week and expecting that I'm going to get round a marathon at elite level. It's just not possible. So this sort of winter, we've been gradually trying to build up more of my running, more of my endurance. And to be honest, this now has actually given me extra months to actually build that in, because it hasn't gone maybe the way we wanted, just because of circumstances at home with family life and just everything going on. Do you mean you sometimes lose track of the months, and before you know it, it's the indoor season, and then before you know it, that's it, you're on a training camp ahead of the outdoor season, and things just, they really do go by so quick. Whereas this now, instead of me opening up my track season in just 2 weeks' time, I don't know when I'll be opening my track season up. So it's allowed me to actually have a really long, good phase of endurance training, which I've probably missed for a long time. It's the most consistent I've been for a long time. It's the healthiest probably I've been, the biggest block that I've had without any interruptions. So I feel like I'm in a good place. And if anything, obviously it's been a little difficult mentally not knowing that you've got a competition coming up. But yeah, it's that sort of mindset of knowing that actually what I'm doing is is a little bit different. Do you know what I mean? It's allowed me to actually get in more focused and a larger block of volume and running that I wouldn't really have done, because I would always be thinking, oh, there's a race coming up, so I'll have to back off a little bit, or I won't be able to do my gym work this week because I'm tapering down for this competition and this competition. I have just been able to get into a really good routine without the anxiousness of knowing that there's a competition around the corner. So it has been beneficial in that way, and I hope actually it does pay off. It might not pay off perhaps this year, but certainly in future years. Do you mean having that big bank of training with consistently is what certainly helped me over the last couple of years. So I really hope that having a really consistent year this year will then catapult me on for the next couple of years as well, as I move up in distance too.
Definitely. I think that building consistency is one of the big positives that we can take out of this kind of uncertain time, because like you say, especially with running, because I'm still running's become my predominant activity at home at the moment, because I was swimming quite a bit until recently. That's had to go, but I've been actually really enjoying the idea of getting my running mileage up and just trying to build some resilience, because as I'm getting older, I'm 41 now. I've been picking up more niggles. I've been dogged with like a calf injury this year, which is part of the reason I've been swimming a lot more. But actually, one of my routines now has been I'm going to try and run much more frequently, because that's one of my few exercise options, but actually reduce the intensity a little bit, build up the volume gradually, and sort of work on a bit of that mechanical resilience and strength, rather than just kind of having to snatch at little times to go for a fast run to keep my fitness up. And I'm kind of hopeful that's going to be that's going to pay dividends in the long run. That's the plan anyway. We'll see how I'm feeling in 6 weeks' time, when I've been smashing around my 5-mile loop at the same time. I was going to say as well, Eilish, one of the things we've noticed, working with you in the past and up to date, has been just you're incredibly sort of positive and buoyant person. You seem to be taking this phenomenally well in your stride, considering how much all of these things, the Olympics, you are a professional runner. This is what you do, and this is a massively difficult scenario. What advice would you give, putting you on the spot a little bit, to kind of the more serious amateur athletes, the kind of athletes that we're working with at Precision Hydration, who are finding it difficult to psychologically get their head around this next phase of not having a race to do?
I think I'd say it's probably something I've learned from some of the serious injuries I've had over the years. I mean, when I first came into the sport I'd say professionally anyway, 2011, I suffered a really bad foot fracture. And I spent the next, I don't know how many months in a moon boot and had surgery, and eventually got myself back running. And then in 2015, the same thing happened again. I fractured my ankle, and I was in a moon boot cast for, I think it was something like 9 or 10 months, and where I couldn't run at all. And I think it's moments like that have made me appreciate that even if this whole year doesn't happen, it's not time wasted. The training that you've done, whether it's had to be, I mean, I couldn't run, but I was in the swimming pool at the time, obviously through the injury, or I had to go on the spin bike, or I had to do stuff at home, small rehab exercises that might look and feel like they're nothing, but actually consistently doing that over a large amount of time. I suppose I just started to appreciate that things changed. I mean, things like that happen. Plan A never happens effectively. Do you know what I mean? I've been in the sport a long time now. I've been to several championships, world champs, Olympic games, Commonwealth games, and plan A never ever happens. It's just, I mean, we sit down with my mum, who's my coach at the start of the year, and Michael, my boyfriend, and we plan it all out. And it's almost a means to an end, because you're planning out knowing that this plan A probably isn't going to happen. But you almost have all these other plans underneath that fall back on the whole time. For many people out there that maybe don't have competitions coming up, they're struggling for the motivation, I'd say, Jimmy, your training is not at waste. It's certainly not fitness lost. It'll still be there. And that if you can continue that consistency, all of that training that you have banked, it doesn't disappear, and it will make you a stronger athlete in the long run. And as I said, I think the time, having like a full year out of the sport and then coming back into it again, it's probably just made me maybe not worry about things as much as I probably would do when I was younger.
Yeah.
I think now I just know that no matter what happens, you can always come back from it. And there'll always be another competition. Do you know what I mean? It might not be the one that you want to do. You might be sitting at home on the sofa, whether it's injury or whether it's through this that you've missed a competition, but there will always be something else that'll come by your way. And I suppose that's the mindset that I've just adopted now, just to keep adapting and changing, and just to accept that, as I said, plan A is very rarely goes the way you want it to go. So just have other things in place, knowing that at some point when the opportunity arises, that you'll be in the best possible condition that you can in order to get back into performing again.
Yeah, I think that's brilliant. And because I look back, because when I was a young athlete, I definitely, a lot of the time, was always I was kind of seeking perfection in the build up to races, seeking perfection in the execution, to the point where I got quite afraid of it not going really right. And you're dead right that it does sometimes take sometimes having a catastrophic issue. Like I had knee surgery, which put me out for a very long time, like you with your moon boot rehab and all the rest of it. It took that to really reframe my perspective on what adversity was, and actually I started to enjoy my training so much more when I came back from that, because it had been taken away for a little while. And sometimes you got to learn those lessons the hard way, I reckon, or at least try to learn something from those hard times.
I feel like from the injuries I've had, every time I stand on a start line now, I just feel like I've gone through everything I have for that one moment then. So you almost don't let those opportunities go, because you think, God, I've worked my ass off to get myself back to this point. I've had a full year out. Do you know what I mean? I've watched everyone from the sofa. And if you've been so committed to, whether it's, spin bike or the elliptical, or do you know what I mean? I don't like cycling. I appreciate, obviously, loads of people love cycling, but for me, it's just not what I enjoy doing. But if it's a means to an end. If it meant that I could continue to maintain my fitness, the ultimate end goal was to get back competing again, running. So you almost just have to make those alternative plans and continue on as much as you can, with that end goal being, well, some point I'll get back to a start line. And the feeling that you do get when you stand on the start line is you just know that, there's not many other athletes around you that are going to be as strong, both physically and mentally, because of everything you've been through. And I suppose it's the same situation now. All the gyms are shut here now. I cross train quite a lot in the evening, but I've just bought my first ever turbo from Walmart. I have no idea what I'm doing, because I've never used one in my life. We've got some really cheap mountain bike from Walmart, and we've got a turbo that's meant to be arriving tomorrow. But so it's not my favorite thing to do, but it is just a means to an end to maintain fitness. When there's a bit of uncertainty around what's going on right now.
Yeah, definitely. You got to do it. Although I've loved cycling over the years, I'm not a big fan of the indoor cycling thing. I think it's great if you're into it, but I've always struggled with it. But even I've dragged my watt bike into the shed today, and I'm trying to find all the cables to get it hooked back up, because I've got a feeling that I'm gonna be needing it in the next few weeks.
I feel like there's people across the whole country that have got a treadmill in their garage somewhere, that they're just slowly starting to come to terms that they're going to have to jump on that to
exactly. They're peeling all the washing off it that's drying and all those kind of things, and they're going to dust them off and see if they still work. I'm going to let you. I know you've been training this morning, so I'm not going to keep you too much longer. I just want to close with a few little things. What training session have you just done, out of interest?
So I actually had just a 10-mile run this morning. So I have the rest of the evening off, which is quite nice. So we, because of the weather here, it's just so up and down. It can be beautiful sunshine one day, where you're in shorts, and then the next day there's a whole pile of snow. So we found there's a trail about 15 minutes from where we're staying. That's beautiful. It's just a big flat out and back. So I had 10 miles on there today. And I have hopefully a track session tomorrow, but again, it's so up in the air with the moment. One, with regards to the snow, but two, just with all the closures, we're hoping we can maybe sneak onto a track somewhere.
On the track, yeah. When you do a 10-mile run like that, how fast did you run 10 miles today?
So it was blowing an absolute gale. So on the way out,
good to get your excuses in early. Yeah.
Yeah, no. So on the way out, I was honestly battling hard, and we ran I was only running it's an easy run today. So I was running I don't know, what was it? 650s on the way out? 6:45, 6:50s on the way out.
That's 6:45 per mile, yeah.
Per mile, yeah, sorry, minute miling. And on the way back, it was like an absolute breeze. We were running like 6-minute miling down to like 5:45 on the way back. I was loving life.
Wow.
But I think because for me, that would be a very, very quick run. Usually at home, I would be running, everything would probably be around 6:30 to 6:45 minute miling. But when I say it was a gale force winds behind me, I mean, I was practically getting blown up the trail. So that was a decent run today.
Good.
Considering we thought we'd be battling a whole load of snow, we managed to avoid it quite well. So yeah.
Dodged it well. And you've told me off recording that Michael's busy in the kitchen. What's he cooking?
He's actually just made me cheese on toast, but
there you go.
that was just a quick snack because he knows I was doing this interview. But he's like, "What are you making? Poached eggs on avocado on toast."
Oh, so very nice.
Yeah, he's a good chef. He's doing some good work in there.
Yeah.
He also just spent 10 miles on the bike cycling beside me, so I don't think he's too happy to do that. That's his. He's straight into the kitchen.
He'll be straight there. Yeah, he's going to be refueling as well. And then two final questions. One of them might age quite badly, but I'm going to ask it anyway because people might watch this interview in a few weeks' time and not really remember what I was on about. But have you got enough toilet roll?
So we're staying in an Airbnb at the moment, and there is no toilet roll across the whole of Flagstaff. But our Airbnb host, the lady upstairs, I'm not joking when I say she has got the most toilet roll I've ever seen in my entire life.
So I don't know if all of Arizona's toilet roll.
So I don't know if she already had. To be honest, I think she already had it because when we arrived, she already had it all. So this is before the coronavirus sort of outburst, and so I think she must buy it in bulk because obviously she rents out her Airbnb downstairs and just makes sure that the people living in it have enough. So where there is certainly no shortage. I'm thinking about starting my own business on the side here, just like shifting them out. If we start struggling, that'll be what we're doing.
Sell it by the sheet, I reckon. Just the little squares, one at a time. And last question, because we're supposed to be having a drink together. What are you drinking?
So everyone's going to think this is like set up and planned because I am actually. All I drink, I'm the most boring athlete in the world, but all I drink is just water, either with electrolytes. So this is actually a 1500 tablet. So you're actually drinking precision hydration while you're talking. I actually am during this
without me even asking you to do that.
without even being bribed to do it. No, but like honestly, I don't like tea, coffee, alcohol. I don't like fizzy drinks. I literally will either have just water with electrolytes before and after training, and then just during the day I'll drink like diluting juice. It is pretty boring. I live a pretty boring lifestyle. I feel like even with the coronavirus going around as well, everyone's going on about being like quarantined and social distancing. And I feel like that's just what I probably do on a day-to-day basis anyway. So this is my excitement for the day. Water.
Water with a bit of precision hydration, 1500 in it. Yeah, excellent. Well, it's lovely of you to, have a chat with us. And we were going to catch up with you at the London Marathon. That's cancelled now, or postponed, should I say. So that's not going to happen. And I guess it will depend, next time we see you, will depend a little bit on your travel plans and whether you get locked in America for a while or what. So maybe we'll see you in person. I bet it is, Well, mate, what we'll do is we'll try and chat with you again depending on how long this situation goes on, either in person or we maybe catch you on another call in a few weeks and see how you're doing then,
if we're still here.
Yeah, exactly. Good stuff.
Okay,
well, send everyone's best regards to Michael as well, and enjoy your turbo training.
Thank you. If it arrives I hope so.
See you later.
Thanks. Bye.